Hello, gamers. We have a new blog post for our game Titan Quest. Come along with me. Let's talk about what's in this post. The devs have been cooking. Let's find out what's in the kitchen. The title of it is called Introducing the Rogue Mastery. I wonder what's being introduced here. That's all in the title, boys. Let's just read this together. As we're approaching the Titan Quest 2 early access launch, soon, boys, soon. We've been extremely busy polishing the initial content. They're cooking while also building what comes next. So that means more masteries, more chapters, more, monsters, more, right? They're working on multiple things at the same time. We have a neat surprise today that we think you'll appreciate. Remember how we previously talked about launching with the Warfare, Earth, and Storm masteries? Yes. Do you know what's better than 3 masteries? That's right, boys. We've decided to include the Rogue Mastery as well in the initial launch. So originally they were only going to do 3 in the launch. They gave 2 interviews that confirmed that. So hope we agree that this is worth a little bit of an extra weight. We waited a few months for a blog post, and that's what they were cooking on. So yeah, I agree, a little bit extra weight with another mastery in the initial launch. I agree with that. So let's talk about the Rogue Mastery. They've designed the mastery around 3 main pillars: precision, preparation, and evasion. Obviously, precision is precise and accurate, hitting precisely where they mean to, right? So Titan Quest of old had like lethal strike and calculated strike. It's this idea of the Rogue Mastery allows you to apply coatings. Okay, so we have these kind of concepts in TQ1. Preparation means coatings to your weapons, preparing enemies with various ailments to set up for powerful combos. Think of like, I'm assuming like there's a lot of other ARPGs that allow you to like debuff a singular target and maybe execute that target. Just as an example, that's preparing to go into combat, right? And then evasion. We also have that kind of in TQ1, but hopefully we have more kind of techniques within this. It's not brute force that brings you success, but moving through the battlefield as you were enemies' shadows. Your enemies will be none the wiser. They have the blade at their throat. Yeah. So it's talking about, it's like talking about the idea of vanishing, disappearing, or moving so quickly, kind of thing. We've got some really juicy artwork. I don't know if this is new. I feel like I've seen this. I feel like I've seen this archetype of a hero or a monster before, but I think the rest is new. Maybe they used a thumbnail before, but their artwork is on point. 07s, huge. What's really interesting is that it's like all the armor looks the same or similar inspiration. It's so cool. Very, very cool. Okay, do we have a demonstration of skills? So is he shooting? He's shooting a volley of arrows kind of thing. Yeah, look at these abilities, guys. Here's the abilities on the bar. He's something here on 1, 2, looks like knives or like multiple projectiles here. It's got maybe a weapon buff here and then like some sort of, yeah. Here's like a marked like a crosshair kind of thing. And then this is regular weapon attack. This is dash, and then don't know what this one is. Okay, so that's like a demonstration of like what the bar will look like. So we're going to go into some key rogue skills. Below, we will highlight a handful of skills from the mastery that will work together very neatly. Neat. Combining the pillars above. Okay, so remember the pillars that we talked about: precision, preparation, and evasion. Those 3 things will kind of be echoed in here. Okay, so I'm jumping ahead. You will be able to see there are other skills, of course, and depending on your second mastery. Remember, we're just describing Rogue and how you can use Rogue solo. They're reminding us, hey, you can combine this with other skills from your other mastery, right? So you're not like shoehorned into one mastery, right? This is the brilliance of Grim Dawn, Titan Quest, and now Titan Quest 2 is mixing masteries. Okay, you'll be able to build different synergies. As you can imagine, the Rogue Mastery has a limited offering in terms of defensive capabilities. That's pretty normal in TQ1. Literally, the only thing you had was Mandrake procs and Flash Powder, Flash Bomb. This might be one of the cross mastery opportunities to pursue. Yeah, okay, so So maybe defensive kind of stuff from something, and pick up rogue for giga single damage or giga pierce poison kind of stuff. So the first skill they're talking about is Lethal Strike. This is a classic staple of the Rogue Mastery. It deals a large multiple of your weapons damage. Okay, so they're telling you how it works. It works off your weapons damage in this game as well, to a single target. And when heavily invested into and timed correctly and right, it will remove large chunks from the health of even the toughest enemies. What's more, if you manage to kill your target with this skill, the cooldown is refreshed. Okay, so that is brand new. Lethal Strike had a seemingly punishing cooldown in TQ1, so you could rapidly finish off weaker or low health enemies to refresh its cooldown. That's sick. That's very sick. Okay, next, when you obtain the flow status, this must be some sort of external resource. Oh yeah, via other abilities, you will be dealing additional bonus damage consuming the flow stacks. So you build up these stacks of what they're calling flow. Insurance editor, cut that out. No jokes. When you use abilities and you gain flow, my assumption is Lethal Strike has the ability to consume flow to do more damage or something like that. And then lastly, you're able to further boost it with modifiers, such as adding a rupture chance that deals a raw HP percentage. Okay, so something like true damage, something like raw HP, probably unmitigatable. So you can modify Lethal Strike to rupture targets. A poison explosion, you can add a poison explosion or bonus damage reward against marked targets. Yeah, it's exactly what I was talking about before. You can mark a target. That was my assumption. They talked about it in the preparation, right? Set up ailments for powerful combos, and then also in this bar. My assumption, the crosshair over here is that mark target. Oh yeah, and then here they're talking about that next. So marked targets. Speaking of marked targets, marked for death. Marking your target will enable a variety of interactions and powerful debuffs via its modifiers. So this is a skill, and remember, all skills have modifiers. Every skill in Titan Quest 2 will have modifiers. The more you invest into that skill, the more capacity slots so that you can put modifiers in there. Each modifier consumes a capacity slot. Some of them require 2, some of them require just 1, but you can stack them multiple times, right? So Marked for Death has modifier slots, but by itself simply deals a portion of your damage as vitality damage. Okay, so it has a damage component just built into it by default, and it's vitality damage, and you can only mark one target. For now, maybe there's gear, maybe there's other, right? Okay, we'll see. Whether you look to build interaction with Lethal Strike or release exploding poison into your marked enemy or summon shadow daggers, I'm assuming these are all modifiers. So you can release exploding poison on the marked enemy. You can summon shadow daggers on the marked target. This is a cheap and effective way to make your job easier. Cool, very cool sounding ability so far. Next up is Flicker. This is a teleport skill that will deal some pierce damage to your target, a critical part of Rogue Kit when working with a glass cannon build, allowing you to get out of nasty situations. Okay, so it's movement and damage combined into a skill. Now remember, we already have a dash that can be modified with skills. It's across all masteries. The dash exists. In this game, this is a separate skill called Flicker. So now we have two kind of movement, capabilities just by picking Rogue. So gaining flow when used. So Flicker gives us flow. You recover a cooldown, and you deal more damage when you hit your mark. Okay, so this is the synergy: is you want to mark targets and do things to your target. Using Flicker on your marked target will recover cooldown or deal more damage. You gain cooldown charges or transform it into an offensive ability via modifiers. Very cool sounding so far. I'd like to see this demonstrated. Really like to see this demonstrated, but that sounds really, really neat. More movement, more get out of jail cards kind of thing. That's the rogue fantasy. Remember, that's one of the pillars. They talked about evasion. Flicker definitely lives in the evasion pillar. Lastly, we have preparation. This is an aura skill that increases poison and physical damage but it reserves a part of your energy. Okay, so this is Envenom Weapon or Blade Honing, probably combined into one skill from TQ1. This directly boosts most aspects of the rogue mastery. Okay, via modifiers, you can increase your ailment and critical hit chances. You can convert your weapon damage to either poison or pierce. Yeah, exactly. It's Blade Honing and Envenom Weapon kind of thing. Being able to boost your crit chance or ailment chance, that's pretty sick. You got some shadow daggers upon critical hits. Yeah, sounds very, very cool. Okay, so those are the 4 skills they're sharing. With all these together, especially if further backed by right items and passive skills. Yeah, and remember, they haven't shared any passive skills. Remember, there's 2 columns.
Skills as well as
passive skills. So we have active over here. They're completely separate from passive. Remember, we're only seeing active skills shown off from Rogue right now. So there's a whole tree. This doesn't look like a very big tree right now. I'm assuming there's way more. I'm sure there's way more. This is very early iteration here. So remember, when we talk about just these skills, we're literally only talking about the left-hand side, essentially the left-hand side of the tree. You get active and passive points when you level up. So we haven't talked about any passive stuffs, I don't think, in any of the posts. So that's very, very cool. With all these together, especially further backed by the right arms and passive skills, it should be possible to hugely commit to poison damage, marking an important enemy, applying flow via flicker, and using lethal strike on this target to release a massively boosted poison damage, as well as a secondary explosion to hit other nearby enemies. Yeah, very, very, very cool. Not everything about Rogue is about direct reliance on your physical weapon damage, however. Most abilities have a modifier to summon shadow daggers, helping you scale your character with spell casting capabilities. My assumption is, remember Lethal Strike? They said it uses your weapon damage. They're talking now about allowing you to modify it so that it becomes a spell instead of a weapon-based attack. So you can have, let's say, 2 daggers, but if you want to scale Earth Mastery, and it has other spell boosting capabilities within Earth Mastery, you might want to consider investing into those transmuters modifiers in Rogue that converts it to a spell rather than a weapon attack. That's what they're talking about here. So we have flexibility. We have full flexibility. Is what they're saying. They're calling this the ability to spell cast, right? This comes particularly useful in conjunction with Earth. It's like I read this useful when using Earth and Storm masteries, right? Where the knowledge attribute scales fire, cold, and lightning and poison damage. They synergize some more. Nice. Okay, so here's some more artwork. These guys look incredible. You guys can see, remember the blog post that talked about clubs? Me neither, because they didn't announce clubs, right? And I was like, well, the artwork has clubs in it. The artwork has daggers. You didn't talk about daggers. You didn't talk about axes. Don't worry, boys. They're in the game. Don't worry. Yeah, this stuff is nice. This is really, really nice. Very, very cool. Okay, putting it together, here's a demonstration of much of the above in action. The character's dual wielding deals massive poison weapon damage, with all weapon damage converted to poison via preparation aura. Okay, so it's weapon damage. So if you have like, I don't know, pure physical on your weapon, now that pure physical is now all poison. Applying a mark to the toughest target will release poison damage once we deliver enough damage to it while marked. Okay. So if you mark a target, you have to deal some damage to it. Then it explodes when that threshold is met. Okay, it will also deliver a poison explosion to nearby enemies, which there are plenty of. You could toss a grenade. They didn't talk about this. Grenade toss. Toss a grenade to your Witcher, baby. So we got poison grenade. Modified to deal poison damage. Okay, so that means the base grenade is not poison damage. It must be, my assumption would be some sort of physical or pierce. So you toss this poison grenade into the crowd, soften the whole group a bit. You hit the marked target with flicker. Remember, flicker is the teleport skill. You gain the flow status. Flow status increases various skills, kind of execute abilities. So we have flow status. The damage is built up already. We deliver a lethal strike. Lethal strike works with flow to the brute, taking out of the equation. Eliminating the lighter enemies by using lethal strike repeatedly refreshes the cooldown, allowing us to spam it until we run out of energy. Oh, okay, yeah. Here's a YouTube bit clip, right? Yeah, very cool. All right, let's let this play, and I'm assuming this is what they just described. So let me start from the beginning. So you can see on the bar we've got mark, grenade. I'm assuming flicker. I don't know what R is, and I don't necessarily know what 1 is. But let's watch this play. So there's the brute with the big telegraphed ability. There's the grenade. Did you see it go off? See, there's the mark. Yeah, very cool. It's kind of hard to see the mark. There's another poison grenade. Let's see if we can see the mark a bit more clearly. Okay, there was a lethal strike, it looked like. There's a mark. You guys see the little target? It's hard to see right here. Hopefully they can make that maybe overhead would be better. Or maybe a fuller circle below the feet would be better, right? But anyways, there's a marked target, capability, and so then you want to aim for that target to lethal strike it. And so, yeah, you see the big poison explosions. I think once you get it in your hands, maybe it would feel better, but it's hard to see. That poison gas bomb's pretty sick looking though. Yeah, that's very, very sick. Here's another in-game screenshot. Not sure exactly what we're looking at, but I can see that we do have grenade on our bar. Yeah, we have grenade on our bar. This looks like an Ichthian brute. He's got the big brute shield and a club. So this is some sort of fire transmutation, I'm assuming. Yeah, good stuff. Coming next, this is the last bit of the post. Going forward, we're going to resume regular blog posts, starting with more gameplay footage as promised. Very, very cool. This is how you end a post right here. Does that look like a snail? What does that look like? Maybe that's flow. That actually is probably flow now that I think about it. Yeah, I bet you that's flow. So some visual indication that you have, a buff. We'll have to get our hands on. I'm pretty amped. Rogue definitely looks really, really cool. Lethal strike coming back and then being able to refresh the cooldown of lethal strike is just bonk, dude. That's so cool. Yeah, I'm super excited. Guys, okay, that's the blog post. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm very excited myself. See you in the next one. Bye.